What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gouda channel, and we are top of the league. Yes, we are top of the league. A 2-0 away win at Wolverhampton Wanderers sees us take a precious lead over Manchester City in this title run-in that still has a few twists and turns in it, you would imagine. And the question I have is, did Arteta pull off a masterstroke today? Because honestly, going into this match, my biggest concerns were, look, having just lost away to Bayern Munich, having to fly back with the disappointed squad whose confidence would have been shaken after 2 defeats in a row, the April collapse, and what I really wanted to see from Arteta tonight was some changes to the squad, a chance to rest players. After all, we've got Chelsea on Tuesday, and that's another must-win game. They're all must-win games from here on in because there's just no margin for error. So when the team was announced and there were relatively few changes, yes, Tomiyasu being injured meant that Kivior came back in, and it's been a pretty bad few games for him, so that didn't necessarily inspire me with confidence. Jorginho out and Kai Havertz brought back into the midfield with Jesus, Saka and Trossard in for Martinelli. I didn't think it was enough changes. Ben White looks like he's running on fumes. Gabriel looks like he's been playing with injury. Saka, ever since that great goal against Bayern Munich, has looked all out of shape. And Odegaard, how many times can you ask Odegaard to run around the way that he does? He is one of the hardest working players on the pitch. Declan Rice has played so many minutes and been asked to do so much. So for me, the concern was that we were going to see that our squad wasn't strong enough. And the reason I'm saying, is this a masterclass from Arteta? Because he got it right. First half, we did look sluggish. Kivior did look out of sorts. Gabriel didn't look quite himself. Saliba was too casual at times. We didn't look like the team that was first to the ball. We weren't squeezing the life out of Wolverhampton Wanderers. And at one point, it looked like they were going to go a goal up, thanks to a good save by David Raya, although it was straight at him. And the fear started to set in. It's been so many years since we were in a title race at this point of the season. After all, last year, by this point, it had started to fall apart. Now it looks like it might be gathering momentum again. That goal from Trossard just before half-time, and look, I don't know if he meant it or not. He certainly swings a foot at it, slices it, and it goes top bins in the most perfect place, settling our nerves. And the truth is, in the second half, we came out and started to look a lot more like the team that we've been. But even saying that, not clinical. And then the changes he made, I was deeply frustrated. Saka looked anonymous to me today. Left him on and took off Trossard, the guy who'd scored the goal, our most clinical player at the moment. I thought Jesus looked good as well, coming deep for the ball, tricky, and it was his assist that set up Trossard's goal. Well, the reason I'm talking about masterstrokes is because Manchester City played just before us in the FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea, and it was a decidedly scrappy game from them. 3 shots on target in the whole game. They didn't look themselves. And after the match, Bernardo Silva had this to say.
It's too much. Today was too much because we played 120 minutes less than 3 days ago, and we had to play against a team that didn't travel because they're from London, and that had 5 days to waiting for us and thinking about our game. There's no excuse for the game not be tomorrow. It's not acceptable. For all of us as a team, that's the way we feel.
Do you think things will change?
I don't know. It looks like they don't care because we've said it many times. And it's not about wanting to be favoured. No. It's just wanting... It's about health. I played 90 minutes today, me, Kevin, Phil, and I wasn't fine at all. I wasn't fine, I'm going to be honest. I wasn't. I was feeling my left hamstring, I was feeling my right calf. And so this is not fair for Man City, it's not fair for us. When I say Man City, maybe other clubs went through it. I'm just talking about our personal experience.
And that's the point, isn't it? I mean, there is a really good case to be made there for the fact that they probably shouldn't have played today. They could easily have played tomorrow. But then, realistically, so could we. I think this is all coming down to television and where these matches are scheduled. Of course, Liverpool play tomorrow, and they will need an extra day because they played away at Atalanta on Thursday. And they look all out of shape as well. So these 3 teams, all gunning for the Premier League title, would have had to wear huge disappointment. So the decision that each of these managers have is, Do you make wholesale changes, rest players? After all, like I said, we play Chelsea on Tuesday. I know Chelsea lost today and their season is over and their confidence is not there. And for the chances that Jackson missed today and the profligacy in front of goal, but for that lack of finishing, they really could have beaten Manchester City today, who only had 3 shots on target. So when we face them on Tuesday, there's a very good chance that they're not going to be at their best. But they've still got goals in them. They've been scoring for fun up until today. So we have an incredibly challenging game. And again, coming back from Wolverhampton tonight or tomorrow, there's not going to be a chance for us to train until Monday. Then you'd imagine it's going to be a light training session on Tuesday, if at all, before we go into that match, which is another must-win match. Now, the reason I think it's a masterstroke, and I'm coming to it, is because when asked about the fixture schedule, this is what Pep Guardiola had to say.
It's really unacceptable. Coventry United, Chelsea don't play in the week. Let us play today. Next week, on Friday, will be better.
Yeah.
Instead of Saturday, put it on Friday to have
Did you
less
feel
recovery.
unfairly treated?
It's impossible. It's for the health of the players.
Yeah.
It's not normal. Honestly, it's not normal.
Yeah.
So because I win, I have the courage to tell you in the defeat, I will shut up. But it's not possible. It's unacceptable to 120 minutes. All of you are football players. The motion to Madrid, the semi-final, the way we lose and everything. And so, honestly, so I know this country is special for many things, but it's for the health of the players. So they are. I don't understand how we survive today. I don't understand. Yeah. Why you play today and not tomorrow, one day off, when Coventry, United, Chelsea don't play in the midweek? So why? Why don't have one more day for the health of the players? As a manager, yeah. So tell me how you prepare this final against Chelsea in the best moment of the season and semi-final for get prestigious this cup. How? It's impossible.
But more revealing than the fact that he says it's just not acceptable that they should have to play today. And we played today, but had to come back from Germany. So if it applies to them, certainly it applies to us. Is what he said when Alan Shearer cheekily suggested, well, you could have made wholesale changes. Here it is.
You can't change your squad around and play different players, though. You don't have to play so many players in the game on Wednesday. I know you made, 4 changes today?
No, I had. So I know I thought a lot, but I remember 2 or 3 years ago happened same. We play in Dortmund on Wednesday. We travel Saturday against Liverpool. We make a lot of changes, 3-0 half time. So they destroy us. Yeah. And after we save the face in the second half. So I changed a lot, thought a lot with the staff. This player, the physios, and most of them, they were not recovered. It's impossible because not just physicality. Yeah. You know, the way we played in Madrid, semi-quarterfinals, the way they play in extra time penalties, they do that. Mentally, so tough to recover it.
And that's the point. Arteta today was faced with the decision of making those changes and having players on the pitch that he doesn't trust as much, and that's becoming more and more obvious, or playing with players who are tired. And my assessment of it was that they are just tired and fatigued. Arteta would have assessed it as there's enough running in these players, they just need a boost to their confidence. And so giving them that chance to win the game against Wolverhampton Wanderers, put ourselves back in the box seat for this title run-in, may well just have given us the impetus to go and beat Chelsea quite soundly. I'd still like to see a few players rotated in and a few others given a chance to rest, but it's likely that we're going to see Jorginho. Thomas Partey did get some time today, but it's bewildering to me that he didn't start. I thought that this would have been a perfect game for the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe, possibly even Eddie Nketiah. I felt that if we could make those changes and win, that the players would be fit. But was I wrong? I'm always the first to admit it when I'm wrong. Did Arteta do exactly the right thing in playing these players, in playing the team that he did, getting the confidence back and going into Tuesday with every chance of putting ourselves 4 points clear? Now, I know that Manchester City have games in hand, but you'd rather points on the board than games in the hand. On Thursday, they travel to Brighton. I'm not sure about that one. Certainly, if they play like they did today, Brighton have more than enough about them at the Amex to get a draw. Fulham, Liverpool tomorrow. Liverpool, of the 3 teams, I think most people can see now that they are really up against it. In no kind of form. They got a 1-0 victory away at Atalanta, which was not good enough. They're out of Europe. They're out of the FA Cup. They only have the Premier League to play for, and their next fixture tomorrow at Fulham is not an easy one. Certainly not if you haven't had enough time to rest and prepare. Immediately after that, just a couple of days after that, 3 days after that, they go to their arch rivals, Everton, away. And then they follow that up in 3 days after that with an away trip to West Ham, who are no mugs either and are through to the semi-finals of the Europa League. So I think Liverpool are really going to have to go some to stay in this title race. But Manchester City, well, if they drop a point away at Brighton, the pressure's really on them. They then go to Nottingham Forest, which I'm sure we're all saying is going to be an easy victory for Man City, but it wasn't last year. And Nottingham Forest have so much to play for. After that, there's a nice long break before they take on Wolves at home, and I think they will do the business against them. And then it's Fulham away, which I just said is a tricky fixture. This title race is not dead and buried, but how different it could have been. How different if Arteta had rung the changes. Let's say he had left Odegaard out, brought in Emile Smith-Rowe. Let's say he'd brought in Thomas Partey for Declan Rice to give him a break. Eddie and Nketiah are up front so that Kai Havertz gets a break. I mean, looking at the game today, you have to say, once we'd grown into the second half, and particularly in the last 10 minutes, I just want to say, Declan Rolls-Royce, what an engine. Absolutely outstanding, running right up until the 95th minute. In fact, it was his run into the box that pretty much created the goal that Odegaard took so well. Odegaard, who really has no business being in this kind of shape. Yes, Bukayo Saka spent most of the game looking a little bit lacklustre, but at the end, he started to find his energy again, and that's incredible to me. Martinelli still doesn't look quite himself. And yeah, we made hard work of our shots and chances. There's too much passing around the area again. But I think that comes down to confidence. And how important is that how important is that win for us in terms of the belief that it engenders in us? I mean, there are now only 5 games to go and we are without question in the title race. Of course, it can all fall apart to Chelsea. And then let's not forget that on Sunday, next Sunday, just a week away, we travel to Tottenham. Let's forget, our biggest match of the season, arguably, is away to Spurs next Sunday. Now, I have been predicting a draw in this match from all the way back in February. And at times I felt like that was being optimistic. Certainly after the defeat at Bayern, I thought maybe we're running out of steam again. Maybe that is going to be a bridge too far. That could be, by then, that could be the game that sees us lose any chance we had of winning the Premier League. But now it's not looking like that. Spurs don't play until next Sunday. They've got lots of time to prepare. That's not always a good thing, though. And I think what I'm saying is that the masterstroke from Arteta now is just to say, you know what? We'll rest at the end of the season. He's got these players running through walls for him. And although they looked a bit leggy and they looked a bit less than they've been, this was our 6th away game without conceding a goal. Partly down to the fact that Wolverhampton Wanderers are struggling with injuries and don't really look as good without Cunha in the side, but also because we're defensively resolute. We last conceded a goal away from home in that game against Nottingham Forest at the end of January. So who's to say we can't go to Spurs and get something? We nick a goal and don't concede. That's all it takes. And how different this title race looks if after that game next Sunday we're on 80 points and Manchester City are on 77, albeit with games in hand. But that means that goal difference could win the title. I'm going to say it. I think Arteta got it right. My gut feel through most of the first half was he got it wrong, that he just wasn't paying attention to how tired these players are, that the substitutions didn't come soon enough and there weren't enough of them, that we have this problem that he doesn't trust the bench. I'm not sure we're going to see these bench players this season. I mean, Emile Smith-Rowe may not play again. Reece Nelson may not play again, unless we're 2 or 3-0 up against Chelsea. The Bournemouth home game, that might be another opportunity to bring on these bench players. But given that that's about 6 days after the Spurs match, you would imagine that a lot of the players that he's playing a lot of these first 11 players that he does trust will be fit enough to play. And then there's another almost week-long break before we go away to Manchester United. And if it comes to it, and look, I'm predicting that all three of Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal will win their last game of the season. They're all home games and they're all winnable games. We've got Everton. But if it comes to it, if we have to go to Old Trafford, win that so that we can win the league at home, whatever City, whatever Liverpool do, it'd be an enormous achievement. I think the mood's going to be much better than it has been. And the confidence I have now is that April doesn't have to fall apart. Of course, I'm saying that now. The night before the Chelsea game, I'm going to be... Today's reminded me of something else as well. All those titles I did see us win definitely takes it out of you. It is not as enjoyable watching us go away to Wolves when there's so much at stake. Certainly if you don't score early, and I do wonder what would have happened if we hadn't scored that Trossard goal just before half-time. I could easily see this game being one of those that plays out to a draw. But it didn't, so I haven't got to think about it. And the way I feel right now, I think Arteta was right, I was wrong. You play your first 11, that you trust, that you believe in. They will find the energy. They have fantastic athleticism. Obviously, great engines, great stamina, and in the right mood, more than a match for absolutely anyone. Certainly Chelsea. And I hesitate to say this out loud. I don't want to jinx it, but I do think that with Tottenham facing some injury crises at the back, Doggy is apparently out for the rest of the season. Who knows? Their Tottenham season isn't going so well for them either, and there's a lot of dissatisfaction growing again amongst the fan base who just in September and October were confident that they were in with the best chance of taking the title from City out of any of the other contenders. How quickly things change in football. Certainly today, my mood is much better than it was earlier, and well done, Mikel Arteta. That's all I can say. Now, if you disagree with me, I do want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments if you think that he got away with it, that we got lucky, and it was only because Wolves aren't full strength or anywhere near it, and that Chelsea could still ruin the party on Tuesday. So if you feel that way, leave your comments, and before you go, don't forget to hit a like and subscribe. It means the world to me, and until I see you again, be lucky. Lots of love.